the next segment of this program. Are you ready, Brian?
I think.
Like Mussolini and applesauce.
I wasn't ready. No, I wasn't.
Here comes CM Punk live. And the chants and the signs and the singing. JR leads in with "Nobody in pro wrestling is hotter than CM Punk." And then Excrement jumps in and does the t-shirt sell. And I know the producer had told him, yeah, get the t-shirt sell in there, but somebody wasn't thinking the Punk's entrance was not the place to sell the t-shirts. But anyway, he's in a serious mood, and he set the stage and led with Moxley to get the chant going. We're going to say this again later on when we talk about what he did on the Friday night show, but he is so fucking real. He sounds real. He appears real. He's not just articulate. He puts emotion and or meaning and or inflection and or a naturalness into what he's speaking about.
He speaks like a real guy.
Yeah, like a real regular person, and like somebody that's coming up with what he's saying as he's saying it, like most people do when they speak, and not reciting something that he's memorized. And nobody else in the business, I don't think, could have done this particular promo. And in talking about Jon Moxley, in that 3 minutes, he made Moxley a bigger babyface than Moxley ever made himself. But you believe what Punk is saying, and this is what the WWE can't do. They can't have somebody go out and speak from the heart about a real moment or a real happening or a real situation, because not only is most of their talent can't, I mean, Heyman could do it, obviously, a few of the guys, but nobody believes, the fans don't believe any of their WWE people are real. And they can't do this type of segment. Whether it's a work shoot or a shoot, WWE can't do this type of stuff. And then Punk did a seamless transition to Kingston and into his story. The Kingston had interrupted him and offended him or disrespected him. And again, the Jerry Jarrett principle that he learned from Roy Welch, who learned wrestling in 1920. If you're going to be a worker, verbally, physically, or whatever, you tell them what they know to be true and what they can believe to be true as far as you can, because then when you take that right turn and start working them, they don't know where one ended and the other began, and it's seamless. So he starts talking about the story with Kingston. He shot down the heckler in the crowd. He told Eddie that he would be in St. Louis on Friday night to accept his apology for interrupting him. And also covered up the loophole he was going to offer to fill in the tournament, because that's obviously what people are calling for, but now not. Don't be boo me, boo Eddie, because it's his fault that I'm not doing it. It just, he's at a different level verbally and everything's logical. And it's not slapping you in the face with, why in the world would somebody say that? Or that wouldn't be something that somebody would say or do in that situation. What'd you think?
I think he may be the most effective promo in the entire business. This probably sounds a little weird, but I think you'll get it. He reminds me of Bruno in 1980, the way he could do a promo and just talk to the people. And like you said, you don't know where the line is, what's real and what's not real. And I think it's the same thing with Punk. He was the guy to come out there and talk about the Moxley thing. There was no one else, including Tony Khan, on that roster that would have done a better job. And he had the crowd in the palm of his hands. He's been there. And look, I know people have talked about the numbers for the shows. One thing that's undeniable, since Punk arrived, he's been the most over guy in every show. And the people go nuts for him. As soon as that music hits, and he has the ability to calm them down and get them to listen. Getting a wrestling audience to shut up and listen is a real talent. And I love, like an MJF, who is just a classic wrestling star doing classic, amazing wrestling promos with a modern tinge to it. But I think Punk is at a whole nother level because of the genuineness that he exudes. I mean, it would be crazy to think of CM Punk saying stuff and be like, oh, that guy's a fucking liar. You never see that. Even if you disagree with the fucking guy. He says things that you believe he really believes. And I think he's the best promo in the business. And even when he was at his peak in WWE or even Ring of Honor, I always liked this stuff. And it was stuff I really liked. But then, it was like, okay, there are other guys I like too. He's one of the most special people in the whole fucking business right now. He's one of my favorite wrestlers in the whole business right now. Every time he's on TV, it's captivating. Whether it's a promo or a match where you can't figure out exactly what's going on, why is it so competitive, what's the story here? He's still paying dividends to AEW. Signing him was the greatest thing they ever could have done. And this promo was fantastic. He's the best promo in the business, period. Better than Heyman right now.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you
what different. Now. It's different. Heyman's more like, like an MJF.
There's where you get into Beatles or Stones. It's taste at that point. But yeah, and that's the thing is that it's so different now because there's nobody else that's real or even allowed to try to be. And so he shines through. And also the matches. Nobody is having logical, sensible matches. So when it's more refreshing. It's all he's doing is just doing everything right. And it works because nobody else does it anymore.
And he takes his time with the promos. If you notice, he's never rushing. There's never the feeling like, he's trying to get everything out as fast as he can. He takes his time.
It's sometimes what MJF needs to watch out for. He needs to let some things breathe and percolate and be a little more of a smartass in between because he just hits them with, it's great material, but it's like you're being bombarded with fucking filet mignon to the point where you can't fucking see it.
I will never complain about being bombarded with filet mignon for the record. But, I mean, those are two examples of two of the best promos in the business, but Punk is at a very special level right now, and the relationship he has with the fans is extraordinary, and there's nothing bad. You can't say anything bad about any of this. This was perfect.